Well, just to once again prove how absent-minded I can be, I completely missed the reason for the title being Malevolence in these Clone Wars episodes. It's because it's about the battleship Malevolence. Yes, that's the name of the ship commanded by Grievous. Yeah. And interestingly enough, this is sort of like a little trilogy within the series. We have 3 episodes here where they have the Rising Malevolence, the Shadow of Malevolence, which I'll talk about here, and then finally Destroy Malevolence. Spoiler, they do. Shadow of Malevolence is basically Anakin taking the offense against this new super weapon, which is actually called an ion cannon, but the effect, of course, is like an EMP. And so Anakin, of course, has to come up with a bold, risky plan that doesn't really follow the rules, but it's clever and original in its own way. And yeah, he's making it up as he goes along, but he knows a shortcut. Yes, a shortcut in space. Well, all right, maybe it's a means by which you can sneak up on the vicinity of where the ship is. So he's got to go through this dangerous nebula. But why is it dangerous? Why? He's not quite sure. He just knows about it because some smugglers use it and mentioned it and whatnot. And of course, the problem is there's these creatures living in there, and they're giant monsters, and they're dangerous and all that. And boy, I'm seeing that, and I thought, did the Solo movie rip this episode off? I'm thinking they did, because this is a very similar situation where it's supposed to be the Kessel Run and all that, And, there's this giant monster in there, and then, the Millennium Falcon's got to escape it and whatnot. And yet here's Anakin and his crew in this episode, which, of course, came out long before the Solo movie was even a twinkle in anyone's eye. Well, at least not in that version. And it's the same thing. I mean, not quite the same thing. They're not trying to get somewhere to do a heist and all that, but he's got to have this shortcut, and he's got to sneak in. And they're going through, and there's all these monsters that live within this giant nebula, and they get attacked and all that. But they survive, of course. It's just a little bump in the road onto the main show, which is their attack on the ship, which is successful. And General Grievous, for the most part, is here just to be frustrated, mad, and pissed off. I mean, you can't argue with the guy. I mean, look at him. He's basically just a brain and a couple of organs in a robot suit. I mean, sure, Darth Vader's got it pretty bad by the time he ends up in that suit, but man, what was Grievous before this happened? I mean, geez, why does he even go on, And he's constantly killing the droids, and there again, who can blame him? The droids are incredibly incompetent and stupid. Why would anyone program them like this? I don't know. I gotta wonder if their supplier is all part of the deal and is a traitor to the whole cause. Of course, we know that the entire thing is just a facade for the real plot of Palpatine here, where he's manipulating the whole war so that he can achieve absolute power. So, of course, never really intended for them to achieve their goals of separating from the Republic and all that type of thing. And so, yeah, I guess maybe it was Palpatine. He programmed. It's his little shell company that produces the war droids, and they're just incompetent buffoons. All that stuff. But apparently all the programming and training of a target practice was also utilized for the clones, I guess. But they're a little better here than the droids, so I don't know. But later stormtroopers, not so much, But anyway, that was one of the more interesting things about it, is this scene where they go through that, and I thought, it's Solo just they stole that. Now it's the same universe, and it's a similar event. And if you go into one of these giant gas clouds, and there's these creatures that live off of that, it could happen to you too. So, well, there you go. Anakin had to learn that the hard way. But of course, he's successful because he's Anakin, he's the best pilot ever lived, and all this sort of crap. And they get in good, and they're able to pretty well, not completely destroy the Malevolence. Obviously, that's for the next episode, but they wreck it pretty damn good, and it's pretty much on the run at that point. And so Anakin, by the seat of his pants, manages to make good, even though everyone else thought it was reckless and foolish and stupid, and it was, but it worked. So, so he gets another medal, you know, and in sort of this way to be daring and risky, and what's necessary is I guess a lesson for Ahsoka. Isn't that nice? Yeah. And I mean, you know, Obi-Wan says, well, whatever, I'll meet you at the other end. But, so it's a good little narrative here of dealing with a threat for the Republic here with this weapon that the Separatists have. It's got to be eliminated. And so really, well, who could blame Anakin? He had to do something. If you didn't do a whole lot, this thing was going to go around. God forbid they build more, and your fleet is rendered pretty much useless. And so it had to be shut down as fast as possible. And so there you go. So, oh, another thing is General Grievous. I guess later on we'll see him commanding ground troops, I suppose, but he's always on that ship, and it's pretty much his. Dooku, I don't know, he was busy at the office or whatever. He's not available at the moment. So, shouldn't he change his title to Admiral Grievous, you know? Yeah. I mean, technically, while he's running the ship, I suppose. I guess it doesn't really matter. Anyway, yeah, I enjoyed the episode, so I'm getting into these. I didn't think I would, but maybe it's just because of the state of mind I'm in after the sequel trilogy, and just desperate for anything that's just halfway good Star Wars, you know. And but this is a little bit better than I expected. I'm starting to get used to the anime. I'm not a fan of that. But in an episode like this, where it's this spaceship battle, oh man, yeah, it's good looking stuff. So it works out. It all works out. All right, thank you for watching and listening. Say, why not like and subscribe, and check out that link description below. That'll take you to my mini stores that have plenty of goodies for you, most notably the Night Knight comic book over at indieplanet.com. Get your hands on that and enjoy in brilliant color the adventures of Night Knight. And you can also check out, it's not that big of a deal, it's just my podcast. My podcast, the Mr. Nailsin Show, new episodes every Saturday over at radiomisfits.com. You can get it at iTunes and Stitcher and wherever you want to get it. And, of course, you can catch my videos also, not just on YouTube, but also on BitChute. That's the Mr. Nailsin channel on BitChute.com.